Hello, fabulous friends and fans. Welcome to this special series of videos on natal planets conjunct the nodes and transiting planets conjunct the nodes. Originally, when I created these videos, they ended up being over an hour long, where I went through the sky and talked about each of the planets. Now, what I've done is I've edited these videos down so that you can get right to the information that you want. Look at the exact planet that you want. I want to thank you so much for watching, and thank you especially for the suggestions that you guys give me on the videos that you want to see in the YouTube comments, on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and of course my website, nadiyashah.com. Please do keep those questions, suggestions, interactions, and positive energy coming. It really does mean so much to me. And if you like these videos, please share them. And of course, let me know online. Enjoy. Pluto conjunct the nodes. Now, this is huge. This is so important because this happens so rarely. A lot of people never go through a conjunction of Pluto to the nodes. And that's because Pluto takes 260 years to go around the zodiac. We don't live 260 years. And therefore, usually we'll only have one, like Pluto will only conjunct the north node in our lifetime, or Pluto will only conjunct the south node in our lifetime. And as I said, some people might never experience this. It is always a life-changing moment. It is always a moment that shifts the course of your life. Pluto represents a lot of different things, but Pluto really is, it has a principle that's about purging, that's about leaving, that's about draining as well. And so Pluto conjunct the south node, because the south node also has to do with endings. This is a major shift. This is major endings taking place. This is closures of the most powerful kind. And sometimes, I'll be honest with you, it doesn't have to manifest this way, but sometimes those endings are painful because Pluto is pain. Pluto does represent painfulness, things that cause us pain that ultimately lead to great transformation. But even though it's painful, there's an understanding that this has to end, this has served its purpose. So if we've been in a relationship that's been painful to us, or that hasn't been healthy, or maybe even has been abusive, this is a time when we may end that relationship. If we have been in a situation where we feel we've been taking abuse of any kind, or we feel that we've been allowing ourselves to be treated as less than we actually deserve, this can bring a change of circumstances as well. Pluto is also wealth and finances, so this can indicate a change of financial conditions. But ultimately, Pluto is about letting go of the superfluous. And so that doesn't necessarily mean that our prosperity changes, okay? It doesn't mean that we lose so much money and we're poor, not at all. But it can mean that one way that we went about earning money comes to an end. And sometimes, simultaneously, we see what it is that we can do to create even more prosperity for ourselves. A lot depends also on what else is happening in the sky as well, how that Pluto is being aspected. But Pluto conjunct the south node can bring an ending to some financial circumstance as well in our lives. It can also suggest weight loss at some points, depending what house Pluto rules, depending on where that south node is, because again, it's about losses, it's about what's leaving. So sometimes that can be indicated as well. Pluto conjunct the south node is also of us leaving toxic situations and toxic people behind. So anyone who's not part of our more empowered future, not a part of us really being reborn, Phoenix rising from the ashes is what Pluto is about. And this is really that moment when the ash is created is what Pluto conjunct the south node represents. But ultimately, it is about rising above it. And it's when we rise that we really see, wow, that Phoenix is amazing. It's so beautiful. It's so strong. All those amazing qualities that we see when we look at the Phoenix is there. But we've got to trust the process. And I say to people when I see this coming, non-attachment. That's the key, non-attachment. You want wealth, you want Pluto to bring about greater wealth for you. In this moment, while Pluto is conjunct the south node, you've got to have non-attachment to your material things, non-attachment to wealth, non-attachment to people. any circumstance that's been superfluous, that's been based on untruth, that you've been letting carry on for too long, is going to leave at this time. Pluto conjunct the North Node is us attracting people into our life who have a deeply transformative effect on us, who change us from the inside out, and who really encourage us to be reborn in some sense. And when Pluto conjuncts the North Node, this can be also an understanding, because Pluto still is purging, an understanding of what we need to leave behind if we're going to create greater wealth for ourselves. But the opportunity for that wealth is there as well. It's apparent at the same time. And so it really is going to be up to you to say, okay, you know what? I'm going to embrace that pathway forward. I'm going to see what it is ultimately that's going to be on the other side of this Pluto moving over my North Node. But it really does lead you to understand who you are that much more deeply. The only thing that makes Pluto painful is attachment. In any sense, any conjunction, any aspect of Pluto, the only thing that makes it painful is attachment. If you are non-attached, if you don't attach yourself too much to any situation or any material things, then Pluto can really bring forward its absolute best for you. And the absolute best is you being reborn as a version of yourself that is much more true, that is much more authentic, and that is much more stronger as well. This can also be a time I found, also Pluto conjunct the North Node can be weight loss. It can be a time when we start to appear stronger as well, like our bodies just become more firm, more tight. This is when people are really starting to, can start to look very strong, like just more muscular rather, because of the association between Pluto and sort of like leads, if you will, to some extent. I know Mars also rules metals as well. So because of that association, there is sort of the body starts to look much stronger as well sometimes in ways that you really like. But ultimately, this is about transforming from the inside out. This is about rebirth. And Pluto usually will make 3 exact conjunctions. So you are being reborn from the inside out, and possibly several times over a 3-year period or so while Pluto is making that series of conjunctions to your North Node.